watching the 10 o'clock news.
A long-standing center, often praised for their work with special needs children and adults, is now facing allegations of abuse. The family at the center of it all sharing a video with us that allegedly shows their autistic son being abused by one of his caregivers.
Now, we do want to warn you that you may find the video you're about to see disturbing. Fox 5's Teresa Priolo has a story you won't see anywhere else.
Imagine if this was your autistic teenage son, enduring what appears to be daily assault by a caregiver who uses your son's genitalia as a means of control.
Every day, it kills me to think about the amount of abuse and torture he went through.
What happened to Anil's son occurred at the Anderson Center for Autism, a renowned private facility in Dutchess County, New York, outside of Poughkeepsie, overseen by the state, dedicated to serving, teaching, and housing special needs children and adults. It's been in business for 100 years, and while it's often praised publicly, behind closed doors there are allegations of mistreatment involving the healthcare workers who have been entrusted with protecting such a vulnerable population.
We looked into Anderson and we saw that there were prior incidents that happened there. And when we inquired about those incidents, we were informed that this was a one-off.
The one-off Anil is referring to involves Jonathan Carey, a young autistic boy whose family alleges he was abused at Anderson in the early 2000s. The abuse and malnutrition caused Carey PTSD. The family secured a multi-million-dollar settlement against Anderson. He was later killed at another state-run facility near Albany. It was an issue Anil and his ex-wife cataloged and reluctantly set aside until August the 11th. Take me back to August, when the crime occurred, what happened, and how you found out about it.
My ex-wife, she received a cryptic text message and then a phone call from a whistleblower, a person who turned out to be a whistleblower. And he informed her that he's been working at Anderson. He worked at the house that my son was residing at, and he had been there for a number of months, and he had witnessed the sexual assault and abuse of not just my son, but of the other children who were also living in that residence. He then sent her the video, and when I received that video, I just let out the loudest scream, and my world shattered.
This is the video that devastated Anil. 50-year-old Garnett Collins, seen here appearing to try and control Anil's son, allegedly by squeezing his genitals.
We immediately got in the car, drove upstate, pulled him out of the residence, contacted the New York State troopers.
New York State Police arrested Garnett Collins. They've charged him with the abuse of 2 residents, 2 counts of endangering the welfare of an incompetent or physically disabled person, which is a Class E felony, and 1 count of forcible touching, a misdemeanor. He was released without bail that same day. This is what the grand jury came back with.
That's nonsense.
Although Collins faces up to a decade behind bars, we've been told at most he's expected to serve 6 months. But it is possible he only gets probation. We've reached out to his attorney. We have not heard back. Garnett Collins worked at Anderson for 3 years. The family does not believe their son is the first to experience this type of intimidation, but there's no way to know for sure. Anil's son is largely nonverbal. The facility does not have cameras in the common areas. This was captured by a worker willing to risk his work visa. As a result, that man has been fired, and he is facing deportation. As for Anil's son, the transition back home has been brutal.
He would go into a trance and yell, "No, no, 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 no." And then he would grab, down on his private parts and say, "No, no, 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 it hurts, it hurts."
Anil says this isn't the first time his son was injured at Anderson. He told us the first incident occurred in September of 2023.
A caregiver at his residence hit him in the face with a broom handle. At first, they tried to say that it was self-inflicted. Then they said, "Oh no, another student hit him. It finally came out when they interviewed, some of the other caretakers that no, nobody else hurt him, and the person who was responsible for his care that day finally admitted that, yeah, it was him.
Another concerning data point. During his stay, Anil's son lost a significant amount of weight. The family says Anderson told them he stopped eating.
A whistleblower told me that many nights my son was sent to bed without food.
One of the very same complaints found to have traumatized Jonathan Carey before he died. Elon Mazel represented the Carey family in their fight for justice.
That video is appalling. It is shocking, and it's inexcusable. And it's happening out there in the open, in the home, which tells you something about the culture of that home.
2 months before Anil's son's video came to light, Governor Kathy Hochul toured Anderson alongside CEO Patrick Paul. She praised their commitment and compassion and gifted Anderson $3 million to build a new training center.
Here they're treated as individuals. They're been given the dignity they deserve, which is so important to me as the leader of this state.
We reached out to the governor's team wondering if she's aware of this latest incident, as well as the Office of People with Developmental Disabilities. Neither responded to our repeated emails. Now that Anil's son has been removed from Anderson, the family's turning their attention to systemic change.
At the very least, we need to hold the Anderson Center for Autism responsible. The rot at that institution is at the top. Some of them are definitely, I think, have a willful disregard for the care and for the safety of the kids. These people should not be running these institutions.
In addition to a change in leadership, the family hopes for upgraded charges against Garnett Collins and an investigation into his superiors. We reached out to Anderson's CEO and its board. They sent us this statement, quote, "Over the last century, we've developed a global reputation as a leader in caring for individuals with autism and developmental disabilities. The allegations of reprehensible conduct are entirely contrary to our values, and we are fully cooperating with the authorities in their thorough investigation, which is still ongoing." Teresa Priolo, Fox 5 News.